Hi, I'm Tyler Locker, driver of the number 418 Blood Eagle four-cylinder.
And I'm Cale Maven, driver of the number 17 Legend car.
And I'm Levi Moores, driver of the M80 Legend car.
Heyo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back here for another week, another episode in the Blood Eagle Racing Podcast. We did skip out on last week for Memorial Day. We hope everybody had a good Memorial Day weekend and was able to spend it with family and such, and just really just took in and enjoyed the 3-day weekend. Most of us got. But I'm here with my two buddies, Cale and Levi. What's going on, guys?
Oh, not much, man. We just um, had that race last weekend, Memorial Day weekend, and then at Florence, Kentucky, and then we had one yesterday at Brush Creek, and it's two bad weekends, but we'll get into that later. But other than that, I mean, everything else has been pretty good.
Man, it sounds like you're having a Tyler year.
Yeah, I am having a Tyler year bad.
Maybe me and you need to stop
It's
talking.
I don't know. It's bad.
Oh man. All right, what's going on with you, Levi?
Oh, well, just getting ready to get the work week started back again. Got done with the race and stuff. Got my side job with cutting grass out of the way, but that's it's gonna take this week to kind of recoup because I had an extra race in on last weekend. I raced on Sunday at 35, but other than that, me and Kel both at Florence last weekend, last Saturday, and Brush Creek this past weekend. It was, I would say, overall, mine. It was like one bad race and two good races for me. So
Yeah.
I, I mean. It was exhausting, but it was grueling on one night, fun on the other two. So I mean, overall, I was pretty elated.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I didn't race this past weekend. I don't know if anyone saw on the Bloody Eagle Racing Facebook page. We posted a heat race up from Memorial Day weekend, and it ran all right. Car still wasn't. It's not 100%. I gotta get it. I don't know. I gotta figure it out, and I haven't yet. So I I have a real good idea on what it could be. We ended up dead blowing a third gear out of the tranny that night, but it was a really kind of should have stayed home kind of weekend. Ended up I'll just go over it real quick because like I said I didn't race this past weekend here, but the truck ended up breaking down in sheets, so I should have said no, I ain't going. But my cousin came, picked up my truck, and my pap met us down there. It was perfect timing, and he hooked up the dolly, and we ended up going to Latrobe. But like I said, it just doesn't seem like it's got the power like it should or like it used to. It just does not seem like it wants to get up and go. We ended up changing the fuel pump and stuff, but now we just gotta do the tranny and then like I said, just a couple little things. I gotta get addressed and just waiting on somebody right now, and then we'll be good to go back at it. But yeah, that was like I said, my weekend on Memorial Day. Cal, how did your Memorial Day weekend go?
Um, we were we went camping at Kings Island that weekend. So Levi and his dad and mom brought my car to the track over in Florence because Kings Island is just north of Florence in Cincinnati. So they hauled my car over there for me. So I left and met them over there. And um, the night started, just qualifying decently, and then heat race was okay. I'm still not fast as I was last year for some reason. I don't know why, but um, heat race went okay. It was a lot of fun. Had some fun racing with some of the guys, and then the feature came, and I think on lap 5 or something, another car got into me and popped my dirt tire, punched a hole in it. So I was done for the night. So ended up loading up. That was my Memorial Day weekend.
Then what happened?
Levi's was kind of a little more exciting.
Indeed, it was. I skunked it up in qualifying, so I I think I was near almost the last in my heat race. Fought my way up to fifth, and coming to the checker flag, my car all of a sudden made a beeline right to the wall in turn four. Locked down the brakes. The next thing you know, my whole right front hub decided it wanted to go across the finish line without the rest of my car.
Ooh.
Buried the right front, like it tore my fender up. Running board peeled back a little bit, and I just speared into the dirt.
That could have been bad. That
We
could
had,
have been real bad.
yeah. If I hadn't got on the brakes, there was a chance I could have rolled the car. Because the way I had that thing sitting in the turn. The luckiest thing was that like when it started going towards the wall, it lined the whole car out because I had the car pretty sideways. So if that would have broke off, like what was left of my lower control arm would have just dug into the dirt and rolled me. So I got pretty lucky there. It was the only like honestly like the wreck and all that. I realized I was fine, but the only thing I could think was when it finally stopped, I was like, "Oh, that wasn't too bad." And then I looked up in the air and saw my wheel going towards the infield, and I was like, "That's expensive."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it was like we got it back to the trailer and started assessing the damage. The one thing we kind of shot ourselves in the foot with a little bit was because we had to have my dad's pickup to pull, and where it's a smaller gasoline pickup, we was just afraid to work the engine to death because I think it took us right near 4 hours for us to get there, and we was afraid of just putting too much strain and hurting the truck. So we stripped down almost everything we could out of the trailer, and we mistakenly left most of our spare parts back at the shop. So after we got it done, I was like, okay, this thing's done. My night's done. Walked up and was going to tell Steven that I was going to be a scratch and all that, where he's the race director. And he's like, come check our trailer out. We're pretty sure we can get you back up. So we figured out what all we needed, and luckily they had it. So we started getting the car together, and it was actually a pretty nice experience because we had 3 or 4 other teams of people come over and check to see if we had anything, if we're all good, if we need parts. It showed a lot of camaraderie around a lot of the people, and we got it back and going. And I had because I had didn't even finish the heat race. I started because what was interesting to kind of jump around a little bit is the track themselves decided they did not want to run a B main for us. So, which it for the size of Florence, it handled us extremely well. I actually liked the way that raced. So they started all 29 of us in the A main, and I had fought my way up to 15th, and on a restart from a caution fell back to 16th and was starting to fight back. And I was kind of a collateral in a wreck. I, someone came up and they hit my left front and bent a spindle arm, trying to make sure they missed the wreck. And I was already too committed to trying to pass him. There was nowhere for me to go, so I was either choose to let him bump me or hit the wall. And I let him bump me and bent my spindle arm, so I had to pull off. I think it was like 5 to go when I had to come off.
Ooh. That is a jam-packed night. That's all I gotta say. That is a working your tail off. But
I
that's
mean,
super nice though.
after that heat race, man, we were thrashing, just trying to get him ready to go, and we ended up doing it, and he got to race. So that was awesome. You
Yeah,
know, every
yeah, the amount of damage that actually got done to my car was other than I actually lost a dirt tire completely on that one too. So other than that thing being smoked, the rest of it we actually got pretty lucky. The only things that really truly were broken was I lost my 2 ball joints on the front. My upper control arm stayed intact. The lower control arm sheared, and I lost one of my tie rods and a brake line. So realistically, it wasn't too many physical items that got messed up, but it was just the way to have to get them back onto the car. Took quite a bit of time. We had a pretty quick turnaround because I think there was out of the 5 classes that was racing there. I think they only, I mean, they were running through it quick. Like they were in. By the time my car was done, there was only one other race before we were to go to staging.
yeah, there was only one B main there that
Yeah,
night.
yeah, there was only one, and I think it was for the Hornets, which is
Yeah,
the other term for the that they use for the front wheel drive compacts.
Okay.
But it was a pretty quick turnaround. I mean, it ended up being a pretty tiring weekend, but a fun weekend for me after that. But we when we left, me and mom and dad, we didn't get back home till 4 in the morning, and turned right back around on Sunday, went to church, and then as soon as I got out from that, met dad up, and we loaded up the baby trailer and put my car in it and went right to 35 to race. Which yeah, that was another fun day. We ended up getting to the track probably it was sometime between 1 and 2. I think no, it was about 2:30 when we got there. Um, got it all unloaded, just sitting around talking around with everyone that's loading up. But one of the things I kind of like that they do there is they have, I think it's at 4:30 they start by getting classes going, and you run your hot laps. It's kind of like how Latrobe did it that weekend I was up there. The hot laps were pretty early, and then they take a break to re-prep the track, and then you pill draw for the staging.
Yeah.
So that's the way they ran the Legends there, because that was a Tri-State Legend Car Series sanctioned race that I went to for that one.
Okay.
Um, so I managed to, I wanted to at least get out there and show support because it was their 1 year anniversary. So I managed to get my car up there, and we kind of limped it that weekend on. I had I had to pop tire. I had 3 dirt tires and 1 asphalt rain tire on my car, so it looked a little funky. But whatever it did, it made the car run pretty well.
Tyler, you missed in qualifying for the Hornets or front wheel drives, whatever you want to call them. You missed one heck of a crash. I'm gonna have to see if I can find it and tag you in it.
Was it a white
One
car
of
that
their
flipped?
Yeah,
yes,
Yeah, I saw it.
Plume
in
Yep.
qualifying, man.
mangled that thing.
Oh yeah.
Their trailer was actually just right across the alley from us at Florence.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
car was.
like we said,
Oof.
that car was sitting out all night, so we all got to see everything that happened to it. It was a mess.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
no,
it
back
was
on
it
the
was a
30.
vicious wreck. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I didn't mean to cut you all, but back on the 35 race though, due to the way the pill draw happened, I actually started on the pole for the heat, and first lap fell back to second and started clawing my way and ended up with a second place finish. Then it was a little bit of downtime and all that. Got everything ready and gridded up, and all things said and done, I ended up losing a couple positions from when I started, but I came across the line in 8th. And for me, under a full like a full field of cars, like instead of a split feature or anything, just a full field of pretty stout cars, I managed to fight my way up to fight my way to an 8th place finish. So I would say that was my best finish whenever it was like everybody on deck in the race. So I was real happy with the way that race went. Found out a couple things in the car that we needed to make changes, and we took a gamble and made those changes for Brush Creek on the next weekend. And I think we can go a little bit further, but that was probably the funnest race I've been in was actually Brush Creek yesterday. 'Cause I was buried back in the field again and was trying to fight my way up. At one point, I was up in 5th. Um, I kind of fell asleep on a restart from a caution, and a couple cars got around me. But the fun part for me was at one point I was pretty much 4 wide with 3 other cars coming out of 2. One guy got around us on the bottom. The other 2 kind of muscled around me because I was in the wrong lane. So at that point, I'd fallen back to 9th, and then just pretty much found my groove and collected myself back up and fought up to a 7th place finish.
So not
Yeah, well,
another night that actually didn't go really bad. I mean, it sounds like
yeah,
overall, I mean, last last couple of weeks actually have been going pretty good for you. Actually,
yeah, for the most part.
this year actually, you've been doing rather well. I gotta say.
Yeah, it's been a little bit more expensive for me too, but I mean that's the cost of being mildly competitive.
Yeah. Yep. You want to go fast? It ain't cheap.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But
But
oh, go ahead, Cale. Sorry.
but my night yesterday, phew,
Yeah, that did not go
didn't
very well.
didn't qualify very good. So that put me in a heat race because at Brush Creek, if there's more than 20 cars, they have the split features and the impound. So that put me in a heat race. So I was battling in the heat race. I started third and battling for the lead and second most of the race, mainly for second. The leader he wasn't very far ahead of us, but um, we were battling there with the second place guy. So I passed him few lap towards the end, and he got me right at the line. So I ended up finishing third in the heat, but the car felt really good, so that was a positive. Then we get going the feature, and on lap 1 or 2, the guy that won our heat spun out, and I hit him right in the nose and tore the front of the car up. And then the guy that finished second in our heat destroyed the back of my car and destroyed the front of his. Today I unloaded, and I already got the body off the car and uh, just assessing the damage to see what all I need to get. So I already got my order in for some parts. So we'll be getting her back together pretty soon.
Yeah,
But it wasn't a fun
that's
night.
definitely some Tyler luck. 110%. That's some stuff that happens to me. You don't be taking my thunder, Cale. Okay?
I know,
That's what I do on this podcast. I have
man.
the major malfunctions and the terrible weekends. That's my job title. So
Yeah, it was not fun.
yeah. Well, welcome to the club, bud. Welcome to the club.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
do have, I do have to say, when we were assessing the damage, it looks a lot worse than it actually ended up being. It's definitely going to take some work to get his back up and ready to go, but I think we can easily get it done by the next time he rolls back out on the track. A little bit of cutting, a little bit of welding, a little bit of torch and bending, but we should be good.
I'm off the next 2 weekends because I'm going to the Dream next weekend at Eldora, and then the next weekend after that I have Miss Ohio for my stepdaughter, her pageant. So we'll be doing that
Yeah, don't you
for
think
the
you're
next couple weeks.
a little old to be competing in pageants, Kel?
It's not me. It's for my stepdaughter. Did you not listen?
Yes, yeah, I heard you. I thought you said that your stepdaughter was just gonna be there. It was for you
No.
though.
It's a
Nah,
very
but yeah, I mean,
wild,
at least you got a little
a very
kid, though.
vivid image to imagine right now. Kill walking out in a dress,
Oh man, that's funny.
give a little
We gotta
curtsy,
try to joke around.
walk down the line and do a little curtsy.
Yeah, I can definitely picture Kel doing that. But well, I just gotta mess with you a little bit, Kel. But so this week on the podcast, we got one of my good friends that I've known a long time, raced against him a long time, Bob Pease. He's here locally to me, and yeah, he's pretty well known around the racing world, and I mean we're pretty excited to have him on here. So without further ado, let's get him on the phone and get at it. And now on the phone, we got a good friend of mine. I've known him a long time. Raced with him, for many years. Bob Pease. Bob, how's it going, buddy?
It's going super great.
Or shall I say, what everyone's calling you now, the Quad Father? That's
Yeah, that's kind of the nickname I was assigned. I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah, we're running the Quad 4 in the Cavalier, and I think we're probably one of the few people around here that run one. There might be another one or two, but everybody's going to Ecotex. But we're chugging away with Quad 4.
yeah, and with great success, shall I say. But before we start getting all into that, the one thing that we like to do here on the podcast, especially with all of our guests, is have our listeners get to know you a little bit. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you kind of got into racing.
Well, it all started back. I was about 12 years old, and one day I was kind of bored, so I rode my motorcycle across town. I lived in Ernest, Pennsylvania, and my uncle was working on his race car. And back then, it would have been considered like a pure stock. They called them claimers back then. I don't know why, but went down, helped him on the race car, and just fell in love with it. And basically, just started out as a gopher, picking up, getting tools and handling welding rods and helping clean stuff. And then by the time I was 14 years old, he worked in the coal mines, and a lot of times, we'd have maybe motor problems or something, and he'd be working hoot owl, midnight shift. And the one day he come home from midnight shift, I was sleeping on the couch, and I put the motor together. It was sitting on the engine stand, 750 horsepower late model motor that made ran on methyl alcohol. And he was like, "Did you do that?" I was like, yeah. So he had coached me through it so many times, I kind of felt pretty confident with it. And so that's how I got into the racing, and then money was always a major factor. Speed costs money, and was out of it for a while. Just went to races watching, and then I think it was 2004. They come out with the front wheel drive class, and I had a Grand Am at the time, and I was just like, yeah, I got this car. I'll just turn it into a race car. So we went out and ran it.
Okay, and that's very interesting. So 14 years old, you built your first motor.
Yeah, by myself. Yeah, it happened to be a late model, late model motor.
Now,
Borax aluminum heads. I mean, yeah, the whole thing, scat crank, eagle rods. I mean, it was pretty crazy.
and he didn't question you. He just and everything worked out fine.
Yeah, he was a little nervous, but he said, "You sure you did this?" And he grilled me. You know, he's like, "Did you do this? Yeah. Did you do that? Yeah." And we went out. We won at Lernerville that night. So yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. So back then, you know, there was I think it was actually yeah, he was running late model then. But what do you call it? He had moved up to semi-lates and then moved up to late models, and I think it was like his first year running late model.
Okay. All right. Now, so you started. So I see. Now I knew it was early 2000s, but I honestly I couldn't answer because I was in like fourth grade in '04. So, but so '04 is actually when they started, right?
Yeah, I think they might have had him in '03, but I heard about it in '04, and I thought, I mean, I got this car. It'd be fun. It'd be a challenge, and you know, trying to get a front wheel drive car to turn. And I thought I was going to go out there and just show everybody how it's done. And I found out very, very quickly that front wheel drives, they do not drive the same as a rear wheel drive car. So that was a real eye opener. I mean, I tried throwing it into the corner to set it up, and it just about spun me out and got into a wreck like second lap in, and it was bad. But
It was
car
humble
okay.
times.
Yeah, you get humbled real quick, you know. So then it started to settle down, and just, you know, trying to get the car to turn, you know, networking with other people, and you know, everybody talks, you know, you can only believe about half of what everybody says, but and then maybe use half of that, you know. But there's some good people that helped me out, you know, gave me tips and everything, but eventually you just got to find your own way, you know. Like the setup on my car, it's a little bit different than what a lot of people have. I have it sprung real soft, and I've drove a couple cars that were sprung kind of stiff with spring levers and everything, and they handled really, really well. One car was made by Steve Settle. A guy had bought it off of Steve Settle, which is he's like a really well-respected racer in this area, and I drove that for hot laps, and it handled extremely well. I really liked it. But I just got used to this soft spring setup, and that's what we're running.
Yeah, that's what over the few years now that I've been back, because I'm not gonna lie to you, my first tenure in racing, I didn't, you know, I was a teenager, I was just kind of happy I was doing it, you know what I mean, and I really didn't do my homework over these last few years. I've really been, you know, like scaling the car, trying to figure stuff out, and I agree with you. I actually went from a soft setup that I ran, you know, pretty much like all last year to stiff setup this year, and I absolutely hate it. So you know, it's just not how I like to drive, and um, to be honest, it really makes the car, I guess, loose going in. I don't know. I just didn't like how it was acting. It could have been the track maybe, but for like somewhere like Latrobe, yeah, you know, somewhere like Latrobe, I didn't, I was not a fan of it at all. But Cale, go ahead. I know you had a few questions here for him. I don't want to take up all the time, and I'll be talking to Bob because I could sit here for a couple hours.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
I
you're
could
good.
12 hours.
I know these front wheel drives is your deal, Tyler. So it's probably fitting that you ask the questions. But I do have one for you. I have two, but one of them's going.
Yeah,
I'm
Tyler's
saving
a good
for
driver.
the very last. I'm gonna save one for the very last. But
Okay.
one right now, I was gonna ask you, from when you started to now, what is like the big difference that you've seen, you know, in the cars, from when you started to now? I mean, because I know there's been a lot of changes throughout the years from like when Tyler started to now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, the cars are a lot faster. You know, back in the day, you could take a single overhead cam knee on, and put a cage in it, and you could go out and win races. You know, um, I was told in the beginning, I was running a Grand Am with it was a single overhead cam quad four. It was only made like 120 horsepower, but I was told like, hey, maybe you should get a neon, and I thought, well, if I get a neon, the only thing I could have is what everybody else has. So although I'd probably play with it and try and make it better, but I just kept working the quad four and working with different transmissions and gearing and everything. But I would say just everything's a lot faster. The setups are a lot more sophisticated. People have figured out how to tune these things. I call it reverse wedge. With a rear wheel drive car, they're wedging the car, left rear and right front, and with the front wheel drives, you're going to do it the other way. So they've kind of figured that out. I run a Cavalier, so we just take the sway bar off altogether in the front. Although some people are still running them and they're preloading them. That's something I haven't played with, but I'm pretty happy with how the car is handling now. But, so there's no real need to mess with that. That'd be more of a test and tune type thing than trying to run it on the race night. But just the adjustability people are finding in them. Tire pressures. Running different size sway bars. Even if you are running a sway bar, just changing the bushings on the end of the sway bar from like a urethane to a rubber, that's going to affect how quickly the bar hits. Springs, cutting factory springs, sagging them. People have kind of like figured these things out, and in the last couple of years, safety's been a real big thing that's changed, which is nice to see. I always tried to make my car as safe as I could, but here a couple of years ago, I picked up a containment seat. This year, I got a head and neck restraint, and with the cars going a lot faster, that's definitely something that you got to consider. A good safe fuel system, a good seat, a really good set of belts, and a head and neck restraint.
Now,
Right.
now there's something I gotta ask you. So that is a car that you put together. That's the one that Bish ran, right?
Yeah.
The one you're running now. So you've been able. I don't know how you've done it, but you've been able to run the same car for. I mean, Bish ran that what probably 2011. I want to say.
In 2010. Yeah, I
And,
built that car in 2010.
yeah, and I tell you what, that is a lot of respectable way to get around traffic and be able to avoid the wrecks because, I mean, my car was completely straight, and last year at this time, and there ain't a straight body panel on it. That's why I said I ain't putting no more. I'm not putting no time in the looks because this is gonna get beat up anyhow. But your car still looks
Yeah.
really good, so hats off to you. Hats off to you
Yeah,
for sure.
there's a few wrinkles and offenders from me running at Marion Center. They were running a little rough up there, but that car has never finished worse than third. It's been a really good car, and
Wow.
we've Tim ran it I think 11 times. He got 7 wins, 2 seconds, and 2/3 with it, and I ran it, and I think I finished third with it once, and finished second with it a couple different times, and then every other run has been first place. So
Now,
it's been a really good car. Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna guess the third place finish because I think I've seen the video. Is it the one at Lernerville?
Yeah. uh,
See,
I had I had these big set of factory cams. They were like the real big cams that the factory had to offer. And I thought I'm going to try them out down in Lernerville. The track's a little bit bigger, and it was so soft on the bottom. It had no bottom end whatsoever. It had a nice top end charge, and I won my heat race like really easily. I started near the front and just checked out. I was just gone. And when the feature time came, I didn't pull a good pill. Started back in like 12th, and then I mean it was fast. The car was fast, but it didn't race well. Like it wasn't fast in traffic. If you drove a race car that's like that, it's a lot of work. If you're by yourself, it's okay. Like I said in the heat race, it just ran away from everybody. But I wasn't racing with anybody side by side, and you get side by side, and when you come off the corner with the motor's not making any torque, it's really frustrating. There's no get up and go. The car doesn't feel quick off the corner, and then you get a little squirt of speed at the end, but you're maybe half a car length ahead. They're on the outside, and it's it's frustrating. And I got out of the car, I was actually breathing hard. I mean, I was like, that was a lot of work to get there. It was just a lot of work.
I know it's always real slick up there too. From what I hear,
Yeah,
I never ran it, but that's
yeah.
what I hear.
Yeah, it slicks over for the feature. It's the what do you call it? Steel City Stampede, and they have so many cars. I think their average is around 300 cars for the weekend. And by the time we get on it, it is just like ice, you know. And
Yeah.
last year, I went down to watch. There's a guy with a real high horsepower motor down there, and he almost lost to a guy who basically just had a stock Ecotec with the balance shaft delete. And if he wouldn't have bumped him, I don't even think he would have got around him. But it was just he was just spinning. There was just no way to hook it up.
Yeah.
You know? It was like ice.
Yeah, for sure. That's it. That's what sucks whenever you got some power and then you get on a track like that that's super slick. Which one thing about Latrobe, I mean, that I like a lot is there's always grip, as it seems. I mean, I don't. It was like a real wet slick the last time I was there 2 weeks ago. Well, the night that you won, for the second time. It was kind of like a wet slick. It kind of reminded me of. It didn't seem like there was much grip, but it was. We did run early too, so. But
Yeah.
go ahead, Levi. I know you have a few questions here for Bob as well.
Yeah, well, the first one off is like talking about the building the engines and stuff like that. That's one thing me and Tyler talk about quite a bit is just what all different engine options are available to you. And he was telling me he was still running a quad 4. Like, how can you choose to stay with that over a Ecotec or a VVT?
Well, it's working.
Yeah, well, true. I guess that's a fair point.
Well, one is, I mean, I've run them since 2004, and over the years I continued to develop the motor, and there's a lot of like little hot rod tricks I've done to it, over the years, to make them a little bit more reliable. Cross drilling the crankshaft and sharing from the oil holes and getting a good polish on the crank and making sure all the clearances are good and right now, the one I have in there now, it's actually I built it as a spare motor because parts were starting to get hard to find, so we built it as a spare motor. So it's not even maxed out, the one I have now.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's great to hear. That's great to hear, Bob.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I win again, like I really enjoy winning, and I really celebrate it, because you never know when your next win's going to come,
Yeah.
And it could be that could be my last win. Yeah, I don't know. So I mean, I climbed the fence. I mean, it was wild, but it was awesome. But, real quick, I want to tell you. Tyler, he's a good driver. I mean, he's a real clean racer. We raced side by side there a week ago, and it was a real pleasure to race with him. But anyway, so we're winning a lot of races right now, so there's really no need to think about changing. Although I have built one Ecotec, I got another in the garage. Built one for a local guy, and we ported ahead a little bit, and didn't put a real big cams in. He's running an automatic, so I can kind of built the motor for more torque than horsepower, but he seems to like it, But this other one that's in the garage now, it had some definite mechanical issues. I think they're running too low octane fuel, and detonation just about blew the bottom of the motor apart. So we got another Ecotec, but from working with them, I hated them at first, but from working with them, they're okay. Eventually we'll switch over, but I have so many spare parts,
Yeah.
Some of them are second and third hand spare parts, but we clean them up, and I hand lap my valves by myself. Like I didn't even do a valve job in the head. I just lap them by hand with a drill, and and did my own headboarding, and we're running factory cams, and we did, like I said, we did a lot of old hot rod tricks to it, to increase the reliability, because the quad 4s aren't really known for that. But I've never once blown a head gasket, and I've never once blown up a motor.
Wow.
Ooh.
Man, I tell you what, you need. Go ahead, Levi.
I was going to say that's something we see all too often down here is those motors going left and right.
Yeah, the 2.4 quad 4 based motors, they're known to blow up, especially number 3 Rodberry. The oil system's real weak in them, so we do a balance shaft delete and an oil pump swap. You can't do one without the other. So yeah, we take the 2.3 oil pump and we put on the 2.4 block, and you have to do some drilling and tapping, and it's pretty laborious. But when we're done, it's got the more reliable oiling system in it. So that really helps it. And then the rods are the like the real weak link. I've run stock pistons mostly over the years. The real weak link is the connecting rods. Although I know a guy who's like really cranking them. I mean, turning it, probably close to 8,000 RPMs with stock rods. It took him about a half a year to blow it up, but it took a point. but I've seen that. I'm like, well, I'm switching over to Eagles, So for $350, they're cheap insurance,
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. I tell you, you're gonna need a wheelbarrow, walking to the kitchen or wherever you're at, because saying that I haven't blown up a motor or blew a head gasket, that could be bad juju, Bob.
Oh yeah. Karma's always right around the corner. At any moment, it could just tap on your shoulder, and say, "Hey, buddy, it's time." I'm like, "Oh crap." So, but I got a good motor. I got the good one sitting on the engine stand, but I can't. I'm having trouble with getting parts, and the crankshaft is still at the machine shop. He's all backed up. This is the busy time of the year. So once I get the crank, I think I have a set of bearings. I can't even remember, but I'd like to get it together before the end of the year and maybe run it a couple of times to break it in. But I don't know. Right now, it's not looking real good. But that motor probably be making just, I wouldn't say a ton more horsepower, but it'd be a little bit more reliable, and maybe another 10 horsepower. Probably all it's going to be.
Yeah, well, horsepower isn't cheap and it's hard to get. That's what I figured out big time. I know when I got my motor done and I went to the dyno, I'm like, the guy asked me, he's like, how much? And I said this ridiculous number. I'm not even going to say it on the podcast, but I said a ridiculous number. And yeah, it wasn't even anywhere close. And I was like real bummed out. And then once I went on the track and saw that it could compete, I felt a little bit better about myself. But on a serious note, I want to know, why don't you go to any of these SCDRA races? Like I know, I mean, you're pretty humble about it. The one time I kind of talked to you a little bit, and you said, "Man, them Hondas are fast." But I'm gonna tell you, like I told you before, I know for a fact most Hondas, I got no problem with them. But I got a big problem down the Latrobe, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that helped me down at Latrobe, it just seems like the quad 4, with the power curve and everything, it seems to like a bigger track. I've run them on shorter tracks, and you really got to put a lot of gear in them to get them to run. On the cats here. You really got to get them to run, and I've been successful on short tracks, but it just seems like it's a little bit easier on the big track with the quad 4. So I think down in Cumberland, Maryland, they're running SCDRA cars, and that's kind of like on our bucket list. It's something we want to try. Right now, the car is a little heavy. I think with the containment seat and with the head and neck restraint, I think they're down to like 2,100 pounds, and we're like around 2,450. And I don't feel comfortable giving up that much advantage in weight. I mean, I wouldn't mind trying it, but on a half mile, I wouldn't mind trying it. I don't know about a short track. I think a short track might be a little bit tougher, giving up that much weight.
Yeah.
If I could get another 200 pounds off the car, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I'd jump right on it. But right now, the way the car is made, it's not really made like an SCDRA car. Where they take them, they gut them out, and they just strip everything out of them. If I did that to this one, it would lose all of its structural integrity. The roll cage is in there in this one, and the unibody, they support one another. And to gut the unibody out, I'd have to add a bunch of bars and modify the cage, and I'm just not prepared to go through that much work. I'd be better off like building a new car.
Yeah. I mean, I still got like the factory floorboards and even the trunk and everything because I'm
Yeah.
the same with you. I think you start doing that, it starts weakening them a lot. And then I see guys they make nice braces and stuff for it, and to kind of get back that like you said structural integrity. But just going through all that work for man, I tell you what though, to be honest, I think because I've watched like your videos on YouTube. Which, by the way, everybody, LD9 user. I tell you, you almost got 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah, we're
Let's
getting close to being able to monetize. Yeah.
so let's. He needs what is that? 28 more, 32 more, 32.
Yeah.
He needs 32 more. So let's try helping him out and getting on YouTube, LD9 user, and watch some of his videos and stuff. It's very uh educational. It's like what you're doing with the motors and stuff, and he has some racing videos and stuff on there. But watching those, even at Latrobe, you're the same way. You really it seems like you get halfway down the straightaway, and it almost looks like you hit nitrous because you just like if you just gain so much. You start really pulling at right around like I said about halfway, or it all depends on the track, but right around halfway. That's where I see you really gain the most out of everybody. Um,
Yeah, that's kind of the nature of the quad four, with the cam profiles and everything. Those aren't even like the real big cams, and it still makes the motor real peaky. Yeah, you're talking about a motor that was designed when Ronald Reagan was president. So it's uh, it's a pretty ancient design as far as camshaft tech. It idles like a stalker. I mean, it just idles so nice, because I'm still running like OBD1 computer in it, and it's got a replaceable chip. And I gave a guy $50 and another chip as a core, and he did these chips in his basement. So I got a $50 chip in the car. And I mean, I laugh every time because people are spending like hundreds and hundreds of dollars having their cars professionally dyno tuned, and I know for a fact, which I don't know why, but I know for a fact, some of these guys I'm racing with, they're well over 200 horsepower, and I know for a fact I'm not making that. I never talk about horsepower or anything because I don't know. There's just so many different dynos and different people tuning them, and unless you're on the same dyno with the same tuner on the same day, weather can influence numbers and everything. So unless you're doing back-to-back dyno tests, they're really not comparable, but you can compare any changes you made to what you had. So it's a good tuning tool. I see it. That's the way I see it. But I know I'm not making like 200 horsepower with the wheels. I just know it. So
yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, way back. I think it was back. I'm pretty much running the same stuff that I ran back in. Thinking here like 2014, 2015. It's just maybe upgraded a little bit, but and I wasn't over 200 horsepower back then. I wasn't even close. But one motor I built, it was pretty close to that, and it spun a rod bearing, and that was the end of that. I took it apart, and I still have the cylinder head, but the cams are the larger factory cams, and they're just too big to use.
Yeah,
So if you looked at the torque curve and on the two motors, like this torque curve is way fat, where that one's like real peaky. It's more of a like a road race type engine. It would make a good road race type motor where you can shift the gears and all that stuff. But just with the long straightaways and everything, I don't think it would work that well.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a like I said, I mean, whenever I learned a lot once I started going to the dyno stuff, and like you said, how all the different kinds of dynos. I don't even know which one this guy was, but he said something about a dyno jet and how the numbers can be different and all that
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
And I don't even when someone tells me horsepower anymore, I used to be like, oh wow, but to be honest, I don't. I seriously, I take it with a grain of salt because it's so much is depending on if your car is fast. Handling is huge, and gearing. Like I told you this last year.
Yeah.
Gearing is the biggest thing that I noticed down at Latrobe, and it's something that definitely taught me. And then running the track as well. I mean, I know last year heading down there, because last year was pretty much my first year down there. I followed you a lot, and then it was nice as you take a break, and then I could do my thing, and then you come.
Yeah, you
and
want a feature down there.
I did.
Yeah, you want a
Yep.
feature. Yeah,
Yep.
good job.
Yep. Thank you. And I
Yeah,
actually
well deserved. Well
the
deserved.
the leading up to it, because I know you weren't there. Leading up to that feature win, I ended up losing to Burkett by a bumper, and then I was leading the um. Actually, yeah, that's when you came down, Levi, or you
Yep.
came up. Yep.
Because that was the very first thing you said to me. Bob, here, this race is over.
so yeah, it's funny, Bob, but it's one of those things that I was still really learning the track. You know what I mean? So you just made it harder for me. But and I don't say that about many people. Many people are like, nah, that guy, I got him. Yeah, I got him. But I don't say so. Like I said, I tip my hat off to you. But then back to the story. Then the uh, week after I lost by a bumper, I was winning that $1,200 win race, and I checked out. I know Burkett's car wasn't running right, but I checked out and then ended up uh, breaking an axle, blowing an axle out, and stuff with 4 laps to go. And it was 20 laps, so I got to 16. I'm like, damn, if it was only 12, I would have won that one. But yeah, and then finally I got that monkey off my back and ended up getting it there. But now I know now. Out of all the tracks you've run, I know we're running a little end here on time, a little close on time, but that's all right. Well, we can go a little over. Now of all the tracks you've run, which track would you say you like the most, and why?
Well, right now I'd say Latrobe. I'd say Latrobe because the card seems to just work really well there. Like we ran Dog Hollow. I really like Dog Hollow. I like the shape of the track. I haven't ran on it since a new promoter took over, and they put some new clay down and recontoured the track, and it actually looks pretty racy. It looks like you can race on the low side and the high side. I wouldn't mind trying that again. Marion Center. I like it. It's a little, but it's got plenty of banking, and we put it up on the high side and just drive around the top, and we've won some races there. Ran Sportsman Speedway, which I think they're reopening. It's shaped more like an egg, but you have to be on the bottom up there. It's a one lane track. If you're not in the bottom, you're going backwards. It was pretty good. I like that. We had a lot of success up there. I tried Mercer, which I think the best finish I had there was a second. I got 1 second, 1/3 there, and I was winning the race, and a guy hit me flat in my tire, and that's why I finished third. But on the one year, I think it was back in 2006. But so that track was okay. It was a little different, and we tried Hummingbird. I really didn't like Hummingbird. It's a little tight. It's a little small.
Yeah. Not really banked.
It drove okay. But I don't mind a flat track, but it just didn't suit the car. I didn't have the setup for it. If I ran there every week, I'd keep working on the car to make it better, but it just, as soon as you touch the gas, it just wanted to push, and people were just driving around me. I was like, holy crap, they got this down, So, but originally I didn't want to race the half mile because I really didn't feel comfortable going that fast. We're like, if you do the math on the calculator with the RPMs, the tire size, steering, we're around 95 miles an hour. That's a little faster than I really feel comfortable going. But because it's so open, you don't feel the speed too much, because the track is so big and so open. So
Yeah.
coming down that straightaway, man, it feels good. Well, you get really humping down that straightaway.
Yeah, and there's even a couple videos of that you posted of me and you side by side roaring down the front stretch of Latrobe. I mean, really getting it, and that's probably one of my favorite videos because you can't really see, then all you see is us, vroom, just gone, and
you can really get a sensation of speed, especially since the stands are so close to the track. The stands are real close, to really get a sensation of speed, But Yeah, I like those videos too. It took me like 3 laps to get around you, man. I mean, I was working it, man. I mean, it was all I could do. It was absolutely all I could do to get around you that night. You really had the car turning well. It was a lot. That was a lot of fun. A lot of
Oh yeah,
fun.
always. It's always a lot of fun. But I agree with you totally. Out of all the tracks, I mean, I remember, running like a half mile, something to compare Latrobe to, since that's a half mile as well. Like I remember running Thunder Valley, and
Uh huh.
that I mean that track was flat as well. I mean, and I agree with you. I don't mind a flat track. It's just I prefer, if I'm going to race on something banked. And actually, Latrobe is pretty banked, and it is. There's many different lines. Um, that you. I mean, the track state is always. I know last year it was it was great all year. I mean, well, I
Yeah.
started going down
Yeah.
there probably around this time, end of May, beginning of June, and it was just perfect all year. And hats off to those guys. I love Latrobe a lot. I really do. And out of all, like I said, out of all the tracks that I've ran, it's it takes the cake for sure. I just wish it wasn't so far from me.
Yeah. I tell you what. A couple things. One, I got uh, I don't know how you put it, but I ended up getting involved with a guy named Todd Metz. We became friends. I think that's a better way of putting it. So we became friends. So we
Well,
messaged
hold
each
on, Bob.
other.
Hold on,
So
Bob. Hold on.
yeah,
I gotta say something real quick. I don't mean to cut you off, but you
that's
told me
okay.
one time, and I've lived by it. Guys don't have friends; they have buddies.
That's right. Yeah, we got buddies. So he's a buddy of mine. Yeah, especially in racing. In racing, there's no such thing as friends. Which I have a funny story. Remind me to tell you a funny story about that. But
All right.
I got got introduced to a guy named Todd Metz. He runs Front Wheel Discussion. It's a Facebook page, and he started a front wheel drive shop. He's making some like receiver holders and bump stops, and we put power steering in the car this year. And I got a power steering controller where you can adjust the assist, and super quick service, real great guy, very knowledgeable. I mean, he's really smart with front wheel drive stuff. So if anybody's watching, if you're into front wheel drive racing and you want some good tips, he does a couple lives during each week, and he has some tech videos. Really good guy. So that's helped me out a lot. To have somebody who's really talented and smart to throw ideas past, and bounce ideas off of, Um, so I want to a little shout out to Todd on the Front Wheel Discussion page. And then he has a supporter group too, so you get a little bit more. I think it's only like $5 a month, but you get a little bit more feedback and everything. It's a nice community. But,
Yeah, he runs a
uh,
neon. He runs asphalt though.
yeah, yeah, he runs Neon and Asphalt. Yeah, and he was raced down south. I can't remember what track it was, but like Cletus McFarland that had a big event. It was this track that was supposed to close, and Cletus bought it, and they had a big promotional race down there. And he went down there and ran. He's not afraid to run with top guys, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
good deal.
as far as Latrobe goes, I what I really like about Latrobe is, I mean, the track surface. They just put some new clay down, and 1 and 2 is kind of flat, and 3 and 4's got more banking. So you got to it's you got to drive the track a little different on each corner. But what I really like is how they treat the front wheel drive class. So many tracks. They we're second class citizens. We're just filler. And I mean, we bring a lot of fans in, a lot of support. Family members and everything, friends, and they usually run us last. Latrobe moves us around. And last week, or not this past week, this weekend, but last weekend I ran. We actually ran second. Track was real tacky. It was real good, but they treat us with respect, and uh, that goes a long way in my book. Just how well we're treated.
Yeah.
We're treated like true racers. They don't treat us any different than the late models. So um, I'm like, yeah, this is good. When you get treated with respect, you want to support that. You know.
Yep. Yeah, and I know the listeners have heard me probably 15, 20 times say exactly what you just said. And I agree with you totally. That's another reason why I love it down there. And
Yeah.
because there's actually a track right now that they're they're trying they're trying to figure some stuff out. Is all I'm gonna say. And I think now they're realizing how much. I've talked to promoters before, and they say, you know, you got to have the front wheel drive class. You have to. There's no way around it. I mean, at the end of the day, um, we're the paying class. We pay everyone else's payouts, so we should be the premier. That's the way I look at it. And we're not slumps anymore. I know how much my uncle's got in his pure stock, and I'm gonna tell you something right now. I got just as much, if not maybe a couple bucks more, in my car. You know what I mean? I mean
Yeah.
he's running the sealed, the rush class. He's running the sealed
Yeah.
motors and stuff like that.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I mean, what he's got into his and what I got into mine. I mean, we're no, it's not 2004 anymore. It's not 2010.
Right.
You know what I mean? It is completely
Yeah.
changed. And
Yep.
talking to like Rob Williams, he says we're the future, and I agree with him. We are, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for the other
Yeah.
classes.
Yeah, I agree. Like you look at like the level of professionalism, with the presentation of the cars. You got a lot of the STDRA guys. They got full wraps on the car. A lot of local guys are starting to do that stuff now. So the cars look a lot more professional, which I really like.
Yeah.
Which I always tried to conduct myself like we did whenever I helped my uncle. The car was always clean. Any dents would pound the dents out, and I always tried to do that and try to represent the sport as well and as professionally as I could. And I mean, I don't think I'm responsible for everybody being more professional with how they present their cars, but I'm part of it.
Yeah.
I'm part of that, and I'm just real happy to be part of it. I see like the local guys. We got Paul Koffler, we got the Grubbs family, a lot of other guys down there. They're which I could name like Colton McNanny and all them guys. I mean, I could just go on and on. I'm forgetting a bunch of names, but all those guys, they show up. The cars are clean. They scrape all the mud out of it. Any dents, they pound them out, and they drive like professional drivers. They're not out there beating and banging.
Yep.
There's still a few guys who are just taking a stock car, putting a cage in it, and going out and racing it. Which hey, that's great. I don't think you're going to win races that way nowadays. Not nowadays. You're going to have to put more work in the car. But they're participating in the sport, and they're, as long as they're not, beating and banging on people and everything, they're learning how to drive a front wheel drive, and just getting out there. And sometimes you just like to go fast. You just want to go fast. So get out there, get on track. It's a lot safer than doing it on the highway.
Yeah, for sure. And I always, I mean, I've said it on here before. Like I said, I talk a lot of good things about Latrobe, and because I mean, at the end of the day, now, I mean, I could go to Dog Hollow, but I don't. I go to Latrobe. Latrobe is my home track, whether anybody likes it or not. Because I know I don't want to say that I'm not liked down Latrobe, but I don't know if they just look at me as like an outsider. But I know there's a few drivers that I don't think like me, which it is what it is. But that's my home now. You know what I'm saying? And uh, I one thing about Latrobe, I can for sure trust anybody on my inside. And it's somewhere,
Yeah.
and you cannot find that anymore. Now, talking to like
Yeah.
Levi when he came up, how about it, Levi? You said up here it is completely different than down. The guys, like you're saying, whenever you're in the lineup in a beat up black two-door Dodge Neon pulls up beside you. Notice he didn't say my name. He didn't say my name when he said about all the nice cars. But nah, that's okay. That's okay. I know my car don't look the greatest, but that's from running everywhere else. But yeah, I mean, even he said whenever he came up, the professionalism and everything about the four-cylinder class is different up here in PA than it is down in Ohio.
Yeah.
It's a big difference because I mean it was something like I was talking about, like me and Cale got the pleasure of talking to Rob when he calls the SERA hit the division promotes and all that was actually at a track just an hour away from us, which is Atomic Speedway. We actually got to take a chance to talk to him a little bit, and he was that was just one of the few moments he actually got to stop to actually just relax. And he said they were like drivers. There's one, didn't give me a name, which we weren't going to ask for it, but one driver showed up with side-by-side belts.
Oh wow!
In the car.
Yeah, that's good.
Like it's just around here, it's like what you're talking about, like what some people do. They just pretty much put a cage in the car and hope for the best.
Yeah.
And it's one thing we always talk about too. It's like it's actually something that gets mocked a little bit at some of the tracks they show up at around our area. Is a lot of them will sit even if they're not even getting ready to go on the track. They'll just sit there and hold the gas out of the floorboard and rev that engine on, and it'll sit there it'll be sitting there bouncing off the red limiter, and it's almost like a call. It's almost like a calling sign, because around here when one does it, the rest of them do it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you'd never catch me doing that.
Well, Tyler, he was mentioning about like maybe he's seen as an outsider. I mean, I don't see him that way. I knew Tyler. I've raced with him, and I've always had good experiences racing with him. But I remember back in, I think it was 2014. I had a white car, and I have the black one that I have now. I had it back then, and we showed up the first week and with the white one, and we won. And then we bought the black one the second week. We won with that one. Then we bought the white one again, and we won the first 3 nights. And so the tech guy, like back then, there was a lot of whiners where, the same guys who were shaking your hand saying, hey, good race, good job. They were calling the track on Monday, trying to get you disqualified and trying to get you kicked out, and it was a group of guys, there's about 5 or 6 of them, they ran together as a quote unquote team, and everybody knew, it was kind of a joke, but, and they would call the track, and then they'd get their girlfriends to call to make it seem like there was this big uproar, about me and all this. But so I passed tech for the 3rd week in a row, and he says, you're not making too many friends around here. And I looked at him square in the eye. I said, listen, I'm here to win races. I'm not here to make friends. He's just like, okay. So we came back next week and won again. It was good.
Yeah, that's funny.
So, but I tell you, like down at Lake Trobe, like those guys, I mean, they come past you if you win. They rev it up a little bit, like, and they kind of give you a thumbs up, and like they're genuinely happy. They're happy for you, and it's a different atmosphere. It's a different atmosphere. I was ready to walk away from it back in like 2015, 2016. I was ready to just walk away from it because I just seen them as kind of whiners. But down at Lake Trobe, it's a completely different atmosphere. You got people like the Poplars, the Grubbs, the Adam Jones. He's getting faster. His I think it's his brother or cousin Andy. There's Colton down there. Again, I'm forgetting that this guy runs it's a red and white Cav, but he's been getting quicker. Like everybody's gotten quicker, But they drive good, and they're not weaving around all over the place banging India, and like they're genuinely happy. They're like, hey, good job, like they shake your hand, and they're not two-faced, So it's the whole completely different atmosphere than back in the old days,
Yeah, I got a question for you, Bob.
Yeah.
What I'm just trying to help Tyler get better, faster. We're so proud of him, everything he does. But what can he do to get a lot faster in the 4-cylinder class?
You can get in my car.
Well, hey, Tyler, I just got you a ride. Tyler.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you can get in my car. It'd be fine. I think it'd be okay. Yeah. Now ask me how to make his car faster.
Yeah. Well, what can he do to make his car faster?
It's real easy. Have me drive it. Oh man. Now, all kidding aside, like I'd say, if you like that soft spring setup, go back to soft spring setup. You know, I know, like my right front corner, it's a factory spring. I took it up to Elias's up in Indiana. They have a spring crusher up there, spring smasher, and they can tell you what the rate is. And my right front spring's 125 pounds. That's it.
Oh
I
wow.
mean,
Wow.
it's like no rate. I mean, when you drive a car, it like flops back and forth. You can when you weave the wheel back and forth, the car it rolls. I mean, it just rolls in its suspension. So I kind of like it that way because there's two different types of weight transfer. There's weight transfer due to lateral G's. That's the overall grip that the car has, and then there's weight transfer due to body roll. And it just seems like the way the car's set up, it likes that body roll. It likes to roll over. Uh, I have to run a little bit more negative camber on the right front because with the way like street front wheel drive cars are designed, when you turn the wheel to the left, you actually gain camber on the right front, and you lose camber on the left front. If you turn it to the left, and that's kind of built into the suspension geometry. So if the car rolls, it's even worse. So you have to start with a little bit more negative camber in the right front, a little bit more positive camber in the left front. I think they do that from the factory so that like the car will push and the driver will get kind of scared and leave off the gas. It's a little safer than having the car loose. So we run a little bit more camber on the right front, and a little less camber on the one more time. More negative camber in the right front, more positive camber in the left front, and then just run a real soft setup and let it roll in the suspension. It just sits in a bump stop in the right front corner and just drives around.
Yeah.
There you go, Tyler.
Yep. That's
You can try it. I don't know how it'll work on a Neon, but you can give it a go. See what you think.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to. I'm still laughing about what you said. That was too funny. That was funny. I was not expecting that at all. I was not. But
Oh man.
but no, we appreciate you coming on, Bob. I mean, we could sit here forever. We're definitely gonna have you back on because this was a darn good interview for sure, and very
Thank you,
educational
Joe.
for guys, and um and just knowing more about you. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, I've talked to you many times. I mean, heck, back 2012, we were rather, I guess you could say, kind of close a little bit, but there's actually
Yeah.
some stuff I didn't know. And it was good. It was good to find out, and everything. So yeah, we'll definitely have to have you back on here sooner rather than later for sure if you'd have time for us.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity. Anything you need for anything, racing, anything, I'll be there for you. I mean, you're a good guy. You're a gentleman racer. You'd get the shirt off your back for the guy, parked beside you to help him get back on track. And I've only ever had good experiences with you, Tyler, and it's a pleasure to be on your show. I'm really thankful and appreciative of the opportunity.
Well, for sure. Yep. And all right. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll talk to you later then, Bob.
All right, my
Thanks,
man.
Bob.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right, and that was Bob Pease, everybody. Yeah, what a great interview, and man, we could be talking to that guy for a long time, and we're definitely gonna have to have him back on. That's for sure. But
Heck yeah, man. That was a great interview. That
yeah,
was so good.
yeah, he's something else, that guy. But yeah, now I mean, wrapping it up here. I mean, I really don't got much for news. I mean, one of our uh, Jacob McDaniel, he ended up going to the SCDRA race and placed in second. I'm pretty sure. I don't got it up in front of me here, but I'm pretty sure he ended up placing second, and that was awesome. Um, for someone who supports the Blood Eagle Racing podcast, he got the sticker on his car, and he went up there and busted some tail ends. So that was good for him. Now I just got to get him up here and do a little bit of racing with me. I mean, we're talking about it, going back and forth, just trying to figure out a weekend that'd be good for both of us, and get after it. So, would you guys have anything for
Yeah.
news?
Well, on Jacob, I saw where he won at Tyler County. I think
Oh, he's been tearing it up
this
down
week.
there. Yeah, I think he's
Yeah,
like
he's
five
doing
to
great,
seven or
man.
something. Yeah, five to
Yeah.
7 or 6 to 7. He's He's been doing an absolutely phenomenal job down there. So that's what he was saying, that uh, he thinks he's gonna have the points wrapped up down there, so he'll be able to make a weekend to come up. And I was like, sounds good to me, dude. You just let me know. I'll make sure my excuse me. I'll make sure my whatever you want to call it is ready. So
Yeah,
don't want to say it on air here. Don't want to say it on air, but everyone knows what I'm
that's
talking about.
right. That's right.
Oh
Um,
my.
this coming weekend, the Ohio Valley Legend Car Series is going to be racing at Brush Creek again. So they'll be having their normal show, and they're having a makeup show from a, a race we got rained out a few weeks ago. So they'll be having two features for the Legend cars, and I'm going to be missing both of them. So that's not good. And I hope it rains out so I won't miss any. But anyway, like that happened last year. Everything rained out when I was gone, so that was great. And then this Saturday, the Tri-State Legend Car Series is going to be at 35 Raceway Park. So that'll be a cool event. So there'll be two legend races real close to each other in Southern Ohio. So if you're a legend car racer and you want to race, uh, there's there's places for you to go race. But there's $1,000 to win legend car race coming up Friday, June 17th at MRP Raceway Park. So if anybody is listening to this podcast from wherever and you got a dirt legend car, come to MRP Raceway Park in Williamsburg, Ohio. Try to win you $1,000.
For sure. And anyone I know this is Levi's thing, which Levi I'll get to in a second. But if you're looking to maybe be a sponsor of either one of us or of the podcast, I mean, we'd greatly appreciate it. We all know the state that I guess that the country's in right now, but I mean, every dollar would count. Especially keeping this going and keeping racers out on the track. So if you're interested at all, make sure you either get a hold of us through Facebook on Blood Eagle Racing, the Facebook page, or Blood Eagle Racing podcast at gmail.com. I said that right, Kel?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, Blood Eagle
Um,
Racing podcast at Gmail.
yeah. One thing I was going to say too is, a few weeks ago we did make it to Apple Podcast finally, and if you can get on there, and if you like our show, please give us a rating. That helps us out a ton.
Yeah.
We would greatly appreciate it. We like the positive feedback, but I mean, just whatever you think about us, I guess just put whatever star you think we are. And if you can tell everybody if they can follow us, that helps us out a lot. We appreciate it. And man, we just thank everybody for listening. And I know I got some friends down in Texas that are listening now and stuff. So
Yep.
it's pretty cool. Got some
So-
friends that up in Michigan that listen that I'll be seeing at the Dream this weekend. So
Yes, and Michigan is our biggest state that we get listens in, for sure. So we appreciate all of our listens, but we're looking to have that state that's number one. So I mean, um, the guy definitely got
Right.
to give everyone in Michigan a shout out for listening each and every week. It's I'm very thankful, and like Kel said, leave us some feedback or get a hold of us if you'd like to see something different, or maybe hey, maybe you guys should try this or whatever. We're open to it. I mean, we're just three buddies on
Yeah.
here that come on to BS. That's all we do, and it's a lot of fun to us and everything. So for sure, I mean, we're always down for feedback. We haven't got much since the new year. I mean, we got some last year, and we've done our best to make the podcast better for sure. I know we definitely need someone who can edit better because I'm not that good, but I do my best. It is what it is. I'm sorry, people. But go ahead, Levi. Go ahead with the sponsors.
Well, for the sponsors that we currently have on for the podcast, we'd like to thank Cliffbird Chassis, First Guardian, Scioto Smiles, Southern Ohio Speed, Texas Auto Ranch, NK Tuning, and TL General Labor.
Ha,
And
you
as Tyler
remembered
said, yeah, I got you. If you, like Tyler said earlier, if any of you all would like to sponsor either the podcast or even get your names out on our cars on the track, just hit up our email or hit us up on Facebook and get a hold of us, and we'll get you taken care of.
Sounds
Heck
good.
yeah, we appreciate all of our listeners, man. It seems like we're getting a few more every week, so that's great.
Yeah,
I mean,
we have been picking up
appreci-
big time.
yeah, appreciate the listens, everybody, and spread the word. And we'll, if you want a sticker or anything like that, just holler at us, man. We can
Hook you
get
up.
some out to you. I
Yep,
sent,
sure.
I think I sent 8 out last week, and I'm possibly going to be sending out about 15 more today to one person for their going to put them on their cars in a series out there in Texas. So that's going to be cool.
That's awesome. That's sick. That's sick. But
It's
all right.
it's a kid. It's a kids modified class, so I think that they're just trying to grow it, and I told them if they get the stickers on their car, we'll do some stuff on on the show for them and stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But all right, we will catch everybody next week. Appreciate you listening. And we'll stay tuned for next week's episode.
worldwide.